Did you always want to become a leader? Did you have that in you?
No. I grew up in Glasgow in the 1970s. I then decided that I really wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to write, I wanted to travel the world, I was nosy, I wanted to find out about other people's lives. It was a very male environment. There are a lot of white men, a lot of them went to Oxford or Cambridge. I always felt like an outsider, always. I was just focused on doing the stuff that I was enjoying. I wasn't particularly interested in leading or any of that stuff. And I think the point at which I decided I needed to be an activist was when all of these different parts of my life collided.
You're trying to get people on board with, the obvious to you and I, and lots of people in this room who are completely on board with it, but there are people that aren't. So how do you change those behaviours and get them on board with your way of thinking?
The scale of the task is enormous.
Yeah.
The inequalities that women face in this country are enormous. And I think that we have got to be honest with each other. You have to pick your battles.
Yeah.
I'm trying to speak to people who want to have a conversation. What keeps me going is remembering what is real and true to you. It's about having a vision. I'm trying to excite and interest and inspire people. Imagine if all of these things were open to you. Imagine if you could create a kind of politics that looks and sounds like you. The thing that I learned when my daughter and I went through that awful, awful time is that nobody's coming to the rescue. It's on us. And when I came out of the tunnel was a point where I realised that is totally liberating.
But you proved that by starting a party. You are living and breathing that action because you felt problems and you experienced dark times, and rather than sit there drowning in it, you did something about it. How can you get people to act practically? What advice can you give to get them on board with what you're doing? Or can you do that?
Yes, it's really important. Practical action is absolutely essential. And that's the hardest thing, I think. Our manifesto is a guide to what you can do. It basically says, this is how you create an equal society, an equal culture, an equal economy. That is our roadmap for action, very clear, deliberate, practical action for building the kind of world we want to see. What I care about is that we act as feminists.
Sometimes action can be clearer than language that can complicate people.
My job as a leader is not about, sort of standing on a hill directing people. It's about listening to people and helping them to be the change they want to see. One of the things I learned very early on was that there were an awful lot of people saying, what can I do? And what I was doing was then saying, well, give me your details and I'll go away and think about what you can do and then I'll come back and tell you. Do not do this. It's impossible. It's impossible, it's exhausting, you lose people. What I have learned is to turn it around and say, what do you want to do? What do you care about? When can you do it by? And what will you do after that? And that just completely flipped everything in terms of being able to really start to grow a movement.